Now let's look at some tips and tricks for chart creation. The mantra in Data Studio is click and draw, not drag and drop. So you select a chart type, then you draw a box where you want it to go. Data Studio automatically adds some appropriate fields that it thinks could be useful to your chart. The Chart Properties panel on the right is where you can configure your chart. You can give your report a name just by clicking on the title and editing it. One thing to watch out for, since Data Studio is based on Google Drive, you can have duplicative file names. Click View to see what your users will ultimately see. And here's our report. Notice it looks very similar to when you were editing it, but as a viewer, you can't modify the report. Note that you can mouse over any of the charts and graphs on the report. This is live data. It's not just a static image. So this report may not look like much, but with just a few mouse clicks, you can connect to a data source like Google Analytics and create a chart graphing session data over time. A few more key things to know. Dimension chips are green. Dimensions are things like categories or buckets of information. Dimension values could be things like names, descriptions, or other characteristics of a category. Metric chips are blue. Metrics measure dimension values. Metrics represent measurements or aggregations, such as a sum, x plus y, a count, how many of x, or even a ratio, x over y. You can even create simple metrics through calculated fields, like field 1 plus field 2. These can be much more complex, using over 50 calculated field functions available in Data Studio. A calculated field could also be a dimension. For example, you could use a regular expression to extract part of a landing page URL or a keyword into a new dimension to make it easier to read. Lastly, you can share and collaborate your dashboards with your team. Keep in mind that when you share a report, if you're connecting to an underlying data source, like a BigQuery dataset, Data Studio does not automatically grant permissions to viewers in that data source if the viewer doesn't already have them. This is for data security reasons. After you share your report, users can interact with filters and sort, and then you can collect feedback on the usage of your report through Data Studio's native integration with Google Analytics.